The great debate of if this tech choice is worth it or not. Make sure you guys smash the little crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more Oz content. So, Cosmic Blazar or Stardust Cypher Dragon? That is the question that the TCG has been finding itself trying to answer as of late, especially with the whole new release of Blue Eyes touching down out here in the meta. Now, I quite like Stardust Cypher Dragon a little bit more, in my opinion. I like the fact that he gives you the extra layer of protection because he's got the nice little wording on him that says, the first time that your cards would be destroyed each turn, they are not. And I quite find that that effect actually matters as the game kind of progresses, because you can play a little bit more defensively. You know, if your opponent's attempting to destroy something, you can simply just absorb a level of protection, and I mean, you've done your part out here. People look at Cosmic Blazar, though, as a better option because, you know, it's going to be a revolving, you know, I return back to the field, plus I get a couple of little extra steps out here in order to punish the opponent. Centurion was abusing the doubled Cosmic Blazar Dragon, which, I mean, I've said in the past that if the second Cosmic Blazar ended up touching down, you were probably losing that game. Because most average decks, unless, you know, you've got a Dark Rule No More coming in on the expressway to try to clear the game, that's going to be mainly the big things out here that I could see actually coming up with this. So if you don't actually have access to that, though, I don't really see how you're going to overcome that because, you know, that's just what it's going to be. I too love interactions out here that just blow me out of the frickin' water. And I think that this is one of those big ones right now that you definitely want to be keeping an eye on between Stardust Cypher and Cosmic Blazar for your deck. Genex Undine. Oh my god, it took so long for people in the TCG to finally have an opinion on this, because the TCG has been so set in their ways for this deck, for Mermail in general, that when I actually saw a push in the opposite direction out here, we had other people trying out other things right now, I was ecstatic. And I also, when we first saw Undine show up in the OCG, I was extremely happy for this because this is one of the exciting moments that you kind of get to see in the game. You get to see that people are trying out other ideas. You get to see that people are going, holy crap, you know, we can actually test the waters out here. We can do other things, you know. Now, the only trade-off to Undine is, you know, you basically, you have to play the controller. But the cool thing is if your opponent negates or attempt to negate its effects, you're still paying the cost of milling a water monster. So you're still initially starting the deck in a way that is very beneficial to you. And that's why I love Undine so much, because he kind of breaks the mold for stupidity for water decks. It's just a lot of people were just, I understand why you're looking away from water at this point. I understand that, you know, you're not too thrilled with the situation, and I get that. I understand that, you know, water, you know, it's not exactly at the stage that you want it to be with Undine. You know, there's possibly better things to do, and that's fine. You can look at the deck, you can build, you can do however you want to with these sorts of things. That's the cool thing about exploring with Yu-Gi-Oh! Options, options, options. And to me, this was just a cool thing to see. So Undine actually has a check mark out here for competitive play. Harpie Lady. So, are you surprised when I tell you that people have been looking to the Harpie's Featherstorm as an option, and we're still continuing on the idea out here of using the Harpie's Featherstorm as an option to punish the opponent out here? Because it's still, the fact that we just had a Primite Rizal deck step into the room out here and actually, you know, challenge out people is actually, you know, kind of what you expected. You know, so what we just had was a Primite build show up playing Harpie Lady. And what you're using the Harpie Lady for is to Featherstorm your opponent. And also, with the Primite package, you're getting access to frickin' Drill Beam out here, you know. And I hate to tell you this, but Drill Beam itself has now become one of the craziest cards in modern era Yu-Gi-Oh! History. Every single turn, a negate and a banish that is able to recur itself back to the field is insane. It does so much out here. And I'm genuinely surprised that people are just kind of now figuring out that, you know, you can use the Primite stuff in combination with Rizal, but the fact that people are now realizing, shit, Drill Beam actually is the future meta. It opens up so many stupid doors to what you're capable of doing out here that, you know, I'm just surprised, man. Also, this is just makes the deck even more expensive, so I guess that impresses somebody out here for what's really available in the meta. Relinquished Anima. So this was a personal one that I saw that I found very interesting. A Blue Eyes deck showed up actually playing Anima. Now, most of the time you're not thinking, oh, hey, you know, Blue Eyes doesn't really typically do this, because most of the time, you know, they're just going to make their Link 1 on into the Blue Eyes monster and they're off to the races. You know, that's typically what you're going to be doing. But the trade-off here is this surprises your opponent. You know, I don't really see a lot of people out here really wanting to kind of play around some zones or some of the stupidness that kind of comes with that. So Anima kind of becomes this secret weapon that you can actually pull off against your opponent, and now your opponent's just going, huh. You know, this seems like this should have been a pretty brainless tech choice to figure out. You know, you're playing level 1s in a deck, you should be able to have access to this, which I agree with. I just found that this was pretty left field, and against a lot of the norms of what we've seen. Same thing out here with the Light Charmer Lina. Lina actually shows up, and especially, you know, if you're thinking that your locals has Blue Eyes fever out here, especially if you're looking around, you're like, there's a lot of Blue Eyes that I got to deal with out here on the week. All right, I understand that. I understand there's a lot of Blue Eyes that people are going to be seeing out here kind of going forward. I agree with that. I do think, with that being said, though, that you're going to have to make some decisions in deck construction, in extra deck space if you want to put in the Lina. Because the Lina is going to allow you to kind of do some stupid link climbing, or, you know, you're just going to put a Blue Eyes on the field and obliterate your opponent, which is funny. I mean, it's kind of the same thing. You're using the Lina kind of in the same way as like a Bestial to bump the thing out, but then it depends on if your opponent has the True Light running or not, or if they've used the True Light within that turn that you're making Lina. But I think that this is a very ha-ha surprise against your opponent, putting them into a kind of an interesting position. And then we have the Gravekeeper's Inscription. Inscription is back on the tech choice side. Now remember, you have to activate this at the start of main phase 1. Alright, so you have to be doing this. You can't draw into this off of a spell card. This must be the first action that you are taking out here. And it says, so at the start of main phase 1, apply one of these effects. So neither player can activate card effects in the graveyard. Well, that's pretty cool. Neither player can banish cards from the graveyard, and neither player can special summon monsters from the graveyard. We're back on the anti-graveyard related sorts of effects, and I too love shutting off Malice, because, you know, not being able to banish your monsters from the graveyard is kind of the haha funny reverse of, you know, the whole shifter debate. You know, obviously shifter cards don't go to the graveyard, but if you Inscription, your opponent's not getting cards and you know, banished out of the graveyard. So you've sealed the graveyard. You've done your job. You've made it so that your opponent cannot play the game. And that's what you need to be seeing out here. So the level of tech choices like Inscription out here that have been seeing massive amounts of play on the competitive side of things has been quite nice and a little bit refreshing, actually. To kind of be stepping into the light and seeing what, you know, is working. So, those are your recent tech choices out here, and what people have been kind of exploring and messing around with. I do look forward to seeing who's going to win the Stardust Cypher debate versus Cosmic Blazar. Little, you know, feud that they're having. But please, leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here in a day, guys.
Patrons!
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.